welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing the actual final part of my summer 2022 houseplant tour, part 5, I think. Goodness, this has been a long one. As you can tell, I've got a lot of plants by now. So if you haven't seen the rest of the videos I've done 4 so far. I've done my living room, my IKEA cabinet, my office, and my bedroom. And now, today, I'm going to be showing you what's inside my propagation boxes and my acclimation box, because all of you wanted to see it, and so I figured let's do it. Let's show you what's inside, what I've got hiding in here, these plants that I forget about all the time, and they're part of my collection. I just don't always think about them because they're in a box, and object permanence is hard sometimes. If you're new here and you don't know me already, my name is Emma and I make houseplanty content all over the internet. So if you want to follow along with my houseplanty journey and maybe learn something along the way, stick around, watch more of my videos and subscribe to my channel. Right, let's go inside the boxes. So I've got quite a lot of propagations going on in these things, and they've gotten a bit wild recently. I've not been paying as much attention to them as I probably should have, and some things are probably ready to come out. So I think I'm going to pull things out as I go. It'll also make it easier to see because I think things might be like buried underneath each other a little bit. So let's dive in. So this was my first prop box, my original one. It's just a container. I think I got it from like a random bits and bob shop. I think it's technically like a shoebox or something, but I really like it. I used to keep soil in here in my old flat, but I really like it because it's kind of airtight, which means that these plants aren't getting any like airflow, but it's okay because the humidity is really, really high, because it's got not only these locks but these locks on the side as well. So that really, really helps keep it nice and airtight, and it's got handles, so like if the lid's locked I can just hold it by the handles. Don't really know why I need that for a prop box, but I can have it. So here it is, and as you can see, it is a bit of a mess. I've got some things just in the moss and perlite down at the bottom, and then some things I've potted into pots in addition to like try and separate them out. Don't know if that's worked. They might have grown through the bottom at this point, but let's go through it. So let's start with the things that are in pots. So this here is a Hoya of some sort. I think for a lot of these Hoyas I might have to go back and look up what their names are, because I genuinely do not remember a lot of the Hoya names. I find them really hard to remember, Hoyas, for some reason, but it's another splashy Hoya, but it's also kind of got a little bit of abs in it, which is fun as well. And it looks like the runners have like hardcore rooted throughout, which is cool, but also I don't know if I need them to. But I think it's just done that because it's so humid in there and there's so much damp moss that it's just getting moisture from the air and from the moss, and overall staying nice and moist. So in one of these aeroid tower pots, just got like really, really like chunky leaves. And this one is new in here. It doesn't look like it's the happiest leaf in the world, so I'm not sure about it, but it's like, it's a healthy plant otherwise. For the longest time it did just have this leaf here, so this one is pretty new, and it's a healthy plant. I mean, if you see any like little specks of stuff that kind of look like thrips, it's not thrips, it's just like sphagnum moss that's flaked off from somewhere or another. So I'm not too sure what's going on with this one, but it does have a bit of like funkiness on the back of the leaf as well, so I'll probably have to check it out and see what's going on, if there's anything wrong with it. But it does look like it has a really healthy root system. It does have some coming out of the bottom as well, which is really good. It means it's growing nicely in there. You can see some in there as well, so that is really good. It's a very happy plant. Seeing as I got it with no roots at all, I'm happy with that. Oh goodness, is this one stuck? Oh no. Okay, let's do this one instead. So this here is a Hoya Mathilde. I got this from another plant swap from Wendy, and it definitely wasn't this big when I got it. I think it might have only had 2 or 4 leaves, and so the whole time it's been in here since April, so like nearly, what, 4 months now. It has been growing really, really, really well, and super happy. I absolutely love these sort of splashy leaves. They're like super duper duper dark green, and they have these tiny little flecks on them which make them look like little constellations. But I love this one so much. I'm so happy that she gave it to me at the swap, and I just love it, and I'm super excited to have it. It's probably ready to be pulled out of here and potted up, to be honest. I don't see any roots like at the sides or anything, but if it's growing this many leaves, it's probably ready to go. Yet another Hoya. This is almost just a box of Hoyas at this point. What is this Hoya? Oh, it's a very, very small one. I'm pretty sure I got this one at another plant swap. I think from Sophie, Wholesome Houseplants. So it's just been in here for a while. It does have some roots on it now, you can see there. So it's definitely not unhappy, but it's not grown loads. It does have a couple tiny, tiny, tiny little leaves popping out in there. If you can see those, they're super small, but hopefully they're gonna grow really big. I know Hoya leaves come out really, really tiny and then they just go, which is super duper exciting. The last one in here that's in a pot is a little bit tangled, and that's on me. I let it get tangled up with a Cebu blue, as well as I think it might have been rooting out the bottom, or something's rooting into it, one or the other. Either way, I can't pull it out really, really far right now just because it's stuck to something. But this is just some Hoya linearis cuttings that I've had just for ages, and they've not done loads, except this one's now growing quite a lot. I think this is the most they've actually grown ever, so it's nice to see that. I'll probably want to pull this out pretty soon though, because I just really want a proper Hoya linearis to just be hanging out in my flat, because that'd be really cool. Okay, I will sort that one out going forward. Pull out some easy stuff. This is a Philodendron Melanochrysum that I've been growing from wet stick. It was just literally a single wet stick, and now it's got some new growth on there, which is super exciting. It does have some rootage, which is great. Not loads, but one really long root with some secondary roots coming off of it is pretty good too, and I definitely can't complain about it. And I just think it's so cute. Like, look at these tiny little velvety leaves. How can you not like this plant? It's absolutely gorgeous, and they're like really shiny. So it's doing really, really well. I'll probably like swap this with someone because I have my big Melanochrysum. So I'll probably swap it either at the next another plant swap or in just like a general swap with someone. Got a couple of, what are these, White Princess cuttings. This one is just a single wet stick, which hasn't really rooted at all, but it does look like it's putting out new growth, which is super exciting. So this is going to continue living in here for a while, I think, at this point. And then the other one is a multi-noded wet stick with kind of, I suppose this is the top cutting now, it's grown from a new growth point, but it's actually got 2 growth points. I could probably separate it off there, even maybe make 2. Anyways, it's doing fine. This is from my mother plant from ages and ages and ages ago, so I'm not feeling too precious about it, and I'll probably swap it away eventually. This is a wet stick, and I'm pretty sure it is a Monstera Esqueleto, because my Esqueleto did have like really, really long aerial roots, and it does look like it's putting out some new growth there, which is super exciting, though I'm not 100% sure that this is an Esqueleto. I think it is though, so we'll see when it puts out a new leaf, I guess. Here's another of what looks like the same plant. It feels like the same plant, though this one, it doesn't have a growth point on it yet, so who knows what it is. I just have a bunch of wet sticks that I chuck in boxes, and sometimes they sprout and sometimes they rot, so let's hope it sprouts. Here's another miscellaneous wet stick This one does have growth point and some roots, but this part looks like it is rotting, so I might pull that off. There we go. See? Rotten part. Not rotten part. Sometimes they just come right off, which is really good. And hopefully this will continue growing. If not, it's not the end of the world, but we'll see. So I've got, as you can see, loads of Cebu blues in here. This is just more of my crazy amounts of Cebu blues. I'm gonna have to take them all out at some point, so I may as well do it now. And then potentially pot them up, because they do feel like they have a lot of roots on them. Some dead wet sticks in there, that's always fun. So this was a middle cutting. You can see it has a top and a bottom, and it has grown a new growth point that's already growing some quite good sized leaves. So this one's definitely ready to be pot up and probably put on a pole, to be honest. That would probably make it the happiest, as it is growing roots from up here as well. And it does look like it has a nice root system, so this is definitely one that's ready to be pot up. So there's also some monster dubias in here that look like they're like trying to climb the wall a little bit. Let me see if I can get a close-up shot of that. Like, they're super duper tiny though, so like they're definitely small, but they are trying to climb up the wall, which is kind of cool. I'll probably have to pull those out last because I know they're just like buried and entangled within everything. Oh, it's getting too sunny in my spot. I'm gonna have to move. It's another middle Cebu blue cutting with some decent roots on it. Again, probably ready to be pot up because it's got some new growth as well. I think all of these Cebu blues will be ready to be pot up, to be honest. This one is super ready too, but again, it needs to go on a pole so these roots can continue to be supported, which would be really cool if they were. So the main problem I find with these boxes is that they do get all jumbled together and it's kind of hard to distinguish what's what, and the roots get tangled, which is kind of unfortunate. So going forward, I don't know if I'm going to continue to do prop boxes like this, or if I do, I might take things out a bit sooner in order to make sure that they don't get as tangly, because you definitely don't need to leave things in for as long as I have. I'm just a procrastinator. More Cebu blue. All of these need to come out, I think, at this point. How much Cebu blue did I put in here? Gosh. Right, that's the last of the Cebu blues, so good, got all of those out. This is another one of my unnamed Hoyas. It has a name, I'll put it on the screen. It's not my favorite in the world, but it is finally starting to root, and it looks like this is some new growth on there, so it's definitely liking the prop box, and for the longest time it wasn't doing anything, so I will take it. Here is a crazy monster dubia. I think I had this one as a sort of vine cutting like this, and it's finally put out some new growth, but the new growth is just like this really long runner. But it is rooted, so I think I just need to put it in soil or something more nutritious for it, because it's not getting really any nutrients from the sphagnum moss. I've had several other small dubias in here, and they've all rooted to like different degrees. Like this one's not done it at all, but this one's got some more roots on it. So I think they're all just kind of scattered throughout the box, unfortunately, but most of them really haven't grown, and I wouldn't really expect them to grow because they've been in here for a long time now, like ever since I made this box, and they've not really produced any sort of new growth, which is kind of unfortunate. And then one more Hoya. It's actually kind of attached to the linearis. So I think that's what's holding it on. I'm gonna have to undo the linearis to see whose root it is because I don't want to rip it either way. But here's another Hoya I got from another plant swap. Again, I don't remember its name. This is really bad. I feel like this is the worst plant tour of them all because I forget all of these names because they're all like crazy Hoyas that I don't know off the top of my head. But yeah, it's just another Hoya. I really like its like variegated sides. I think that's really cool, and it has like this sort of like crinkly texture on it as well, which is fun. So I do really like it, and it's got lots of roots, but again, not very much new growth. So maybe coming up, it'll grow a little bit more, hopefully. Who knows? But yeah, that is my first prop box. I'm gonna put all the things that I want to stay in the prop box back, and then the things I'm taking out, I will take out for later. So I think that's what it's going to be for now. As you can see, it's quite a lot less full. I think I'm just going to take all of those Hoyas that are really rooted out and keep the wet sticks and stuff like that that's not really grown new growth yet in here for the time being. Next up, this is my Acclimation Box. So this is where I keep things that I've imported that need a bit more humidity to start off with. And as you can see, some things are doing well, but there is also a bit of loss in here, which is unfortunate, but overall it's okay. So let's pull things out and see how they're doing. So this, I think, is a Syngonium white narrow. It looks very similar to the white butterfly, because like this leaf looks like a white butterfly. And actually a lot of them do. This one doesn't at all, so I think that's why they called it a white narrow. But to be honest, I think it just looks like a white butterfly. So it's probably what it is. And it does have some roots in there. I'm not gonna pull it out right now, but I will check on the roots in a future video. This was one that I got from Aroid Market, and so I'll do an update on those plants fairly soon. This, I am so freaking proud of this. So this is my Alocasia Dragon Scale, and I got this from Green Spaces ID, and all of its roots rotted off completely, and I had to like perform surgery on it. But like, look how well it's doing now. Do you see that? I've not changed the water in a while, so I probably need to do that. But actually, I probably just need to pot it up. It's definitely ready at this point. I was waiting until this leaf came in, but now that it's in, I think I'm ready to pot this up. So maybe I'll do that after this video. This one here is an Epipremnum Kujang. This was also from my Green Spaces ID order, and it's one of the wet sticks that I chopped up because the whole plant was getting root rot and going really yellow. So I chopped up some wet sticks and I put a bunch in moss, and they're doing really well, but I wanted to see how they would do in perlite, so I put one in perlite, and it's actually doing really well. Like, you can see there's roots there, and they're kind of going down the side a little bit as well, so it's doing well. I'll probably pot this one up fairly soon because it does look quite ready. This is one from the Aroid Market order. It's the Syngonium yellow variegated, which it's got a dead leaf on it, so I might pull that off if I can. Yeah, there we go. Gotten a bit rotted. I'm not surprised about that, just because as great as this humidity box is, if things are touching the walls too much, it can cause them to get overly moist and go a bit rotty. So you do need to be very careful in a box like this that it's not too jam-packed and things aren't like touching the sides too much, because it can affect the growth. But this one seems to be doing pretty fine. It's got plenty of roots in there. Again, I'm not going to pull it out of its roots right now. I'll do it in an update video, but it's not dead, which is always good. Also from Aroid Market is the most silver blush that ever did Silver Blush Anthurium. It is insanely silver. Like, there's more silver than green on these leaves, which is so fun. And like, they're a little bit longer than my other silver blush leaves. Like, they're more long and skinny as opposed to round like my other one is. So not sure, maybe it's just a slightly different variety, but it's just rooting in there. It's got some decent roots. They do feel a little bit mushy, but the ones at the top are super duper sturdy, so it should be okay. And then these last three are all Philodendron Majestic. They're all from the same plant. I had quite a long vine of Philodendron Majestic, but it didn't have a very good root system, so I decided to chop it all up and propagate 4 parts. But I have 3 different cuttings. I think this was the bottom cutting because it's got the smallest leaves and it had the root system. And then this is a middle cutting, maybe 2 middle cuttings, and it looks like they're actually producing some new growth in there, so that's really good. I don't really see any roots, but I'm not surprised by that yet. There are probably some just hiding in there. And then this was the part that I really didn't want to lose. This was the top cutting, because look how big that leaf is. And it's so gorgeous. I just couldn't lose it. So that's why I chopped it up. And I think it's doing pretty well. I can't really see roots on the cup from here, but it is producing some new growth. So that is all we can ask for. And that's my Acclimation box, and it's just got a layer of water at the bottom because I think something spilled at some point and I didn't mop it up. But also it's really good to keep the humidity high, so can't complain. I'm gonna have to put all these back in here, except for probably the dragon scale. And then also in this section I have this really tiny like yogurt container which has my Anthurium seedlings in it. This just sits living on top of the prop boxes because all of the prop boxes are getting grow light, and so is the Acclimation box when I remember to switch that grow light on, because that one's not on a timer, but the prop boxes are underneath the grow light, so they are getting pretty decent light, and that's why the living moss is still living, which is amazing. But these are growing so well. I grew these from seeds and I can't believe how well they've done, and that they have like 2 or 3 leaves each now, which is super amazing. And then this is my final prop box, and it's my biggest one, and it also has quite a lot of stuff in it, but not nearly as much as the first one did. It's not quite as jam-packed, which I do quite like. I don't like how jam-packed the other one was, but let's pull out some stuff from this one. So this one's a lot less messy, and I think a lot of the stuff is less rooted, which is kind of nice. I have a couple of things in pots. This is a Hoya Actua that I got from Laz's Leaves, and I love it so much. It's so, like, it's a little splashy Hoya. Y'all know how much I love them. It's not done much since I've got it. Like, it's not produced any new growth, and I'm not really gonna pull it out to check on the roots right now just because I always get nervous when Hoyas are this small. They don't have the strongest of roots, so I don't want to like rip them or anything like that. So I'm just gonna leave it in here, but it's not dying, so one can only hope that that means it's doing okay. And then this is another little splashy Hoya. And again, I'm not too sure how well it's rooted, but it looks like the stem is producing roots on it, so one can only assume that that's a good thing. This one is a little bit drier than the other one. I think I probably could give this whole prop box a little bit of a spray just to make sure it's staying moist. But overall, it's still moist and it's not dried out, so it's probably fine. I've got a couple more white princesses in here. Like, I did such a big cut of mine that it came with so many wet sticks. I've already swapped away probably like 5 or 6 white princesses, and so the fact that I have like a huge one in the other box, 2 big ones in the other box, and 3 in here is pretty crazy. I just have so many white princesses, but that's fine. They're all doing pretty okay, rooting well and growing, except this one hasn't done anything, but these smaller ones have, so sometimes bigger isn't always better. Another white princess in case I didn't have enough. Here is a Monstera Dubia. This one did actually have 2 leaves on it, but I think it kind of got unhappy the last time I pulled it out of the prop box for my Monstera collection tour, because it does have this like really long root to it, but the end of the root is getting a bit rotty now, so I don't know if it'll be okay or not. To be honest, I don't know if it'll survive. It's been in here for so long and done like nothing aside from grow this like really long root, so I wouldn't be like mad if it didn't grow, but I would kind of be a little bit sad. I've got some Scindapsus in here. I think this one is one of my potential Scindapsus tattoo. It was sold as a silver hero. I've told this story a billion times, but it doesn't look like a silver hero to me. This does not look like a silver hero leaf. It's a completely different shape, and the variegation is quite different on the sides. It's got some like darker spots, which makes me think it's a tattoo because it looks a lot more like a tattoo, but I'm not sure. It is rooting really, really well, but I found that they take ages and ages and ages to put out any new growth. Like, they'll put out new roots quite quickly, but they won't do anything for a while between new roots and new growth. So this will just live in here for, I think, a while, or I'll swap it away at the next plant swap. This is another Scindapsus. I think it might be one from the same plant, as the stem is a similar thickness, but it was just a wet stick, and this is the new growth. So I'm not too sure. It's kind of hard to tell when they're quite young and they're producing such small growth, but it is another Scindapsus of some sort. And the same with this one. This one, however, is a Trubii Moonlight, which is fun, and it's rooted quite well and produced some new growth, so that's super exciting. It's definitely not ready to come out of the prop box yet, but it is growing pretty okay. This is yet another Cebu Blue in case I didn't have enough in the last box. I have one more in here. Yeah, I think it's just one, so that's good. But it has rooted really, really well, so I'm probably going to take it out and put it, like, pot it up with the rest of them, which should be good. This is a Philodendron White Wizard. So it's slightly different than the White Princess, but it is growing really well. I got this at another plant swap too, and just look at that half moon leaf. Like, how can you not love a half moon leaf like that? It's just so freaking gorgeous and stunning and nice. And it's just like quite a chunk with a new growth point on it. So hopefully it continues to grow well. It does have a little bit of rootage, but not as much as I would want it to. So again, it's just going to continue to live in the prop box. This is another Hoya I got from another plant swap. It's rooting quite well in here, which is really good. Its leaves like don't seem to be doing much, and the like growth point on the end kind of died off, which is unfortunate, but hopefully I can get it to grow some new growth at some point. I'm probably just gonna have to wait and leave it in the prop box until it does. The last Hoya of the prop box is a Hoya Weidii Variegata, and this one I got from Josie. Ooh, dropped it. I had it in pawn for quite a while, but it just wasn't doing anything. You might have seen it in my living room tour because I think I had it in pawn then, but I have since put it in the prop box, and that was only a couple weeks ago, so it's not really done anything yet. Got a couple of bigger things in here. Let me see if I can try and get them out. I feel like they're going to be quite rooted in. So this is a philodendron, I think pedatum, that I got from another plant swap. It did just come with this one leaf, but it has since grown a new growth point with new growth on it, which is very, very exciting. I'm super glad to see it's doing so well. It has rooted amazingly, so I think it's definitely time to pot up. But I love this prop box, this one especially, because it's so tall. I can fit so much in here. This is the same one as the Acclimation Box. Like, you can fit real size plants in this, which is amazing. I'll link them down below. They're from the brand Really Useful Box, which is a very clever name of a brand. But yeah, I really like them, and I think they work perfectly for this kind of thing. And you can grow something big like this in there, and it's okay. Goodness, this Syngonium's really sunk its roots in. Oh my god. Do you see that? Do you see how long those roots are? Holy cow. For such a tiny little Syngonium, it's not overdue for a pot up, but it's definitely due. So another cute little Syngonium. This one's got really nice green leaves with a little white, or not white, lighter green, sort of in the middle, which is cute. Random wet stick, probably a Scindapsus. Actually, there's several down here, so I think they're all Scindapsuses, just because this one's starting to grow a leaf and they do all look quite similar. And then this is a begonia. This is a begonia I got from Lisa, Happy Plant Collector, in our mystery plant swap video. I don't remember the specific type of begonia because I'm not the biggest begonia head, just because I've not been able to keep them alive very well in my time as a plant parent. But this one has absolutely been loving life in the prop box. I think I got it as just like a 1 or 2 leaf cutting, and now it's just been growing like crazy for the past few months. So I've really been enjoying watching it grow, because every now and then I will peek in here and like I'll see, oh yeah, it's just a little bit bigger than last time. So it is exciting to watch that. But it does look like it's got a fairly decent root system. I suppose I should probably plant it up, but I'm just so nervous with begonias. I'm nervous that I'm gonna kill it, and that makes me sad because I do think it's really pretty, and I do love these like polka dotty leaves with the ruffles. So I really don't want to lose it because it is so freaking pretty. But I suppose it's time, so I guess I will do that after this video. Ah. It's time to put everything back. I try and keep things organized, but they very rarely stay organized. Just because I like chuck sticks in randomly. There we go. All sorted out. So that is it. That is what is inside my prop boxes and my Acclimation box. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed all of the videos in my summer 2022 houseplant tour. If you have not watched them all already, go down below. They will all be linked in the description. I can also link the playlist up in the clickable I button so you can have them all easily. I have really enjoyed showing you all of my plants throughout this time. I very rarely go through all of them in a short period of time, so I think it was quite beneficial for me to do that. And I counted, and before this video I had 176, so definitely have at least 200 plants now if you include all of these. So yeah, pretty crazy. What's a girl to do with 200 houseplants? But yes, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below and leave a comment on other houseplanty things you'd like me to talk about in the future. If you want to see more on my prop boxes, I do have like how to make a prop box videos, so check those out. And yeah, subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!